Waving to the people, show them some love.
Want to know how to get rid of your toe fungus for good? Then you must see this. Top medical doctor.
Pound maker, bring us in, boys. Niggamook, niggamook. Blue Medicine Well, stand by, brothers. Blue Medicine Well. My friends, we have over 260 registered Indian nations in the house. What a beautiful song, what a beautiful sight. Championship singing and dancing. Get down, brothers and sisters, get down. Here we go.
Hello, everybody. Paul here from PowWows.com. We will be live in just a minute.
Now, as we carried on, we take it out over here to Blue Medicine Well. Thunder Hill singers, stand by, Thunder Hill. Testing, 1, 2, testing, 1, 2. Man, the love and pride of the Indian nations is amongst us. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for this beautiful grand entry? Warm it up one more time. Come on, Albuquerque. Hook-a-ho. Hook-a-ho. Oh, man, shake those feathers, boys. Let them know you're in the house. You come to dance. Thunder Hill Singers, stand by. Thunder Hill Singers from Weatherford, Oklahoma. All you beautiful dancers, come on. It's Saturday. Smile. Smile. Show us some grease. Smile. Doka. Doka. Welcome, traditional dancers. Welcome. Sup, boy.
All right, let me get transitioned over here. Nope. Ooh, that was a little close. Hello, everybody. Paul Gowder here from PowWows.com. This is our show we do here at PowWows.com every Thursday night. from on Facebook and YouTube. And tonight we're doing it on Instagram, trying something different. So first off, post in the comments. Love to hear where you're watching from. Got a lot to cover tonight. We have a special guest, Leah Tssinajinnie. Now I had her name right. I'll get it in just a second. But she is a professional disc golfer. We did an interview with her. I know you're going to love that. And she's traveling tonight, but I hope she's going to be able to join us online. But here in just a minute, I will tell you more about our special 25th anniversary here on PowWows.com. There we go. We got special merch for that. And we're giving away 25 Pendleton Blankets as part of our 25th anniversary. I will tell you more about that. And if you listen to the interview, then I will give you a special bonus code that'll give you extra entries that only us here tonight can get. All right. So again, post in the comments. I'd love to see where you're watching from. Let's see. We've got Susan in Winnipeg. Awesome. On Instagram, we've got people from Virginia, Redding, California. I'm seeing, let's see, Ontario, California, North Carolina. Awesome, awesome. South Carolina. Hello, I'm streaming from Lexington, South Carolina. That's awesome. Great. Oh goodness, I see my daughter is watching. Hello, Brooke, out there. That's cool. And now I'm nervous. All right. So let's get right to the announcements. First of all, and I'm going to flip the screen here for the Instagram folks, so you can see the computer. So if you head over to www.powwows.com/25, it will take you to this page, and we're super excited to celebrate 25 years of powwows.com. And thank you all out there for making powwows.com what it is. And so to thank you, we are giving away 25 Pendleton Blankets. And here's a picture. And while that picture loads, I'm going to reach back here and grab one. I've got 25 Pendleton Blankets stacked up here in the house. Wish I could keep all of them. They are awesome. But we're going to give them away. And so let me show you one here. Oh, okay. I'm going to flip this back around on Instagram and turn the camera back on Facebook and YouTube. So here it is. Here's one of the 25 blankets we have. This one is called Courage to Bloom. It is part of Pendleton's collection for the American Indian College Fund. So this is one of the blankets you can win. And all you have to do is go to www.powwows.com/25. And for the people on Facebook, I'm going to pop that up. Let's see. There it is. www.powwows.com/25. And that will take you to a page. And so let me tell you, you can enter daily. The more ways you enter, the more chances you have to win. So go there daily and check it out. And like tonight, we give out special codes every once in a while, and those are only available in the places that we post them. We don't give them out anywhere else. So whether we send it in the newsletter, we post it on Facebook, that code is exclusive just for that. All right, so seeing lots more comments. We've got some Choctaw watching, some people from Upper Michigan. Awesome. Elizabeth is from Lexington, South Carolina, but she's up in New York. That's awesome. Hey, Elizabeth. You have to shoot me a message and tell me where in Lexington you are. Kansas City, Missouri is here. The Shoshone Bannock up in Fort Hall, Idaho. I really want to get to one of the powwows up there. I've heard such good things. Have not made it up there. Wisconsin watching. Awesome. Thank you all for the support. All right, some other announcements. So, before we get to the interview, we have a special sponsor of tonight's show, and that is the Indigenous Cloud. Let me flip it back over here. Our friends at Indigenous Cloud are working to produce a streaming platform for Native music. It's super exciting, and they've launched a Kickstarter to do that, and they need your support. So, let me play a little bit of a video to tell you more about this from the founder of that.
Tanse. Hello. That was my dad. My name is Jeff Parker, and I am a proud Métis who grew up in a very musical family. Today, I would like to tell you about the man responsible for that upbringing. George Parker's career spans over 3 decades. During this time, he has produced over 150 Indigenous albums in many diverse genres. Through the success of his record label and publishing company, my father has accumulated the largest known catalog of Indigenous people's music. This is his life's work, and passing this music and culture on to future generations is his legacy. We want to preserve and release music from Native artists like Ernest Monias, Blackstone, Nakoa Heavy Runner, Juanita Bird, White Hawk and Crow, and many, many more. The world around us is advancing every day, and so much is being left behind. We are seeing languages and cultures go extinct faster than ever before, and if we don't help, nobody will. Without my dad, a lot of this music would be lost or forgotten. Ultimately, we want to build our own streaming platform on a solid foundation so that regardless of what happens, the music can be preserved and protected. We would call this platform Indigenous Cloud. So, here I am asking for your help on this journey to preserve my dad's legacy and this important collection of Indigenous music. We are so excited to be a part of passing this music on to the next generation and beyond. Thank you for your support.
Danse, come join with us. Your support will help us preserve and protect this Indigenous music cultural treasure. With a platform such as Indigenous Cloud, Indigenous artists and music lovers will have a platform to listen to for years to come. Mercy.
All right, so that was George and his son there talking about the Indigenous Cloud platform. If you want to help, and I know they would love to have help with their Kickstarter, go check it out at www.PowWows.com/IndigenousCloud, and you can learn more about that. They really need your help to get this off the ground. It is important for us to capture that music. It's pretty cool that George has accumulated this throughout his life and has all of these titles. So please go and check that out and consider helping fund their program. And as a special thing, not only are we giving away 25 Pendleton Blankets, but tonight we're going to offer 5 subscriptions. I think he gave us 5 codes to get a free subscription to Indigenous Cloud. So post a comment here, and later this weekend we'll draw out 5 winners, and you'll get a free access to the streaming platform to hear all this music on your phone and enjoy it for a long time. So go check them out, www.PowWows.com/Indigenous Cloud. And if you back their Kickstarter, of course, they've got some great rewards there, things you can get to reward you. They got some t-shirts and bags and other merch that you can get if you make a donation. And hey, there is Leah right now. She is watching. She's on the road tonight, so she's watching. So if you have questions when we play the interview here in a few minutes, she will be able to chat with you about the interview. All right. So, well, then that's enough for me. Let's get right to the interview. So first of all, I want to talk about disc golf. So for those of you not familiar, before we get to the interview, talking to a professional disc golfer, disc golf, frisbee golf. This is throwing frisbees, discs at baskets. They are metal baskets with chains, and that is the target. It's very similar to regular golf that you've seen. You throw several strokes to try to get to the basket, and the lowest score wins. We have, and I meant to grab one. Hold on. This is live, sorry. So we throw different discs. Like this is a mid-range. This is a Buzz from Discraft. Of course, you know I'm a Star Wars fan. So I've got this. So this is what they look like. They're special discs just for disc golf. So you go out and you do this. The lowest score on the hole is what you're shooting for. And there is a Professional Disc Golf Association, and there is a professional tour. The World Championships was just a few weeks ago and had an incredible moment. We'll talk about that during the interview. And there's a lot of money coming into disc golf now. It's pretty exciting. It is blowing up. The sport has grown by tens of thousands of people during the pandemic. So it's exciting to see Leah and other people representing people of color and other cultures getting involved in this sport. So I don't want to say too much more. I will let the interview play, And if you have questions for Leah, please post them. I'm sure she would love to hear from you. And here is our interview. I am super excited to have with me tonight Leah Tsinajinnie, who is a professional disc golfer, candidate for the Professional Disc Golf Association Board of Directors. Leah, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I mean, I just got into disc golf playing about a year, so it was exciting to see your name come up when I was looking at my ballot for the PDGA Board of Directors. So before we get into the disc golf and everything else, tell me about your background, where you're from.
So I was born in California, but I've lived in Georgia since I was 10. And on my dad's side is the Navajo side. He grew up in Clagato in Arizona. And on my mom's side, I'm first generation American. She immigrated from the Philippines in the 70s. So from there, I just went to Georgia Tech, started playing ultimate frisbee in college, and then last year in the pandemic, I had already been playing ultimate for about 12 years. And when I couldn't play ultimate, I picked up disc golf. So that was a really exciting thing for me. And as you can tell, I just jumped right into it and haven't looked back.
Yeah, and so I saw when I was looking at some of the videos you've done. Yeah, you jumping in. You've already played over 30 events, but coming off the ultimate, I think a lot of people are making that jump. And last year, disc golf really did explode during COVID. It was a sport that even myself, when I was home from work. Working remotely, my daughter and I, for I think 2 months straight, we played every single day. It was super exciting to be able to do that. And I think a lot of people found the sport that way. How, coming from ultimate, how has it been? How's the transition been?
For me, it was a very, I wouldn't say easy because it was a lot of growing and learning pains, but definitely a natural transition. I uh, really love just any sort of physical activity, like besides disc golf, like I love running, like I've done a couple of 5Ks this year, and I've always just been an athlete. So the just like you, I was playing every day, and then I was watching videos. What videos could I watch? So watch Simon's videos, Kona Panis's videos, trying to figure out like, okay, I want to get better. And so really the hardest thing was just like learning the different discs, especially the faster discs. And I'm a lefty as well, so I didn't really have like much to lean on in terms of just like copying my friends, because that's how I went out originally, was I just joined my friends that had already been playing disc golf. So definitely had to kind of like make my own path, and a lot of practice rounds by myself, just casually, just to learn all these new discs. And I've tried a lot of discs. I throw every manufacturer, and until I get that first big disc manufacturer sponsor, I've been trying everything.
Yeah. I went out today and I just got I got 4 or 5 discs from Latitude. Throwing those today, loving those.
Yeah, I
cool.
want the Grace.
Yeah, I'm still throwing slower speed discs. I don't have the arm for the big speed disc, but yeah, that's cool. So, and for people not familiar with disc golf, and especially professional disc golf, touring professionals, it's much like some of our folks in the powwow circuit who are traveling around the country, going to different powwows, competing and making a living out of this. So, and you started touring and started going to some of the professional events, right?
Yes, I am a full-time touring professional this season, so I've been going to as many of the tournaments as any of the other touring pros.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And I think people, the powwow world can definitely relate to that. It's the grind of doing that every week and making a living at it. It's I know it's a difficult life on the road, but one that's I'm sure super exciting and pretty awesome. And I was looking at your PDGA website entries, and I'll link this in the show notes. 38 events in your just your short time playing. You joined the PDGA officially what, like December of 2020 looks like, or maybe a little before that.
Yeah, so that was when I became a certified official.
Okay.
But I joined, I think, June 15th, right around there.
Yeah,
So that would have been like a month into me playing, like finding disc golf.
that's awesome.
Um,
Yeah, your PDGA number is only a few thousand ahead of mine.
mhm.
Yes, but already you just looking at your career on the PDGA website. I mean, already you've got some amazing accomplishments. A third at the putting contest at the professional worlds this year, and several wins. So far, what has been the highlights for you on the professional tour?
Um, Certainly, the U.S. Women's Disc Golf Championships. I finished tied for 17th there. So that's my highest finish at a major, and it's also been my biggest payout for an event. And that was the until Worlds this year, which was, very recent,
Right.
past 3 weeks ago. Um, that was the highest number of women in an event. There was 62 of us, I think, and then at Worlds we had 70 FPO, so female pros, and that was our biggest field ever competing in it. So we had, to tie for 17th, having like a top 20 finish in that big an event was really exciting for me. And then also getting third at the world's putting competition was really surprising, honestly, because I like putting is my favorite part of the game, and I've been learning a new grip in the past week. So I'm always working on my putting game. That's like my favorite part. And I think that's where a lot of the female pros can, besides all the distance throwers, that's
Right.
where you really need to get your strokes is on the putting green.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
it's been super fun, especially just traveling and getting to meet new friends. We see each other every week. You set up practice rounds to practice with different, players, newer friends, and ones that you've been getting to know along the way. And so, yeah, really the community for me is what's been the most encouraging part, like really feeling like I could stick with it. Especially the women. The women have been like super uplifting and encouraging to me. Even when I finished 17th, I had people that have been in the game for years and years message me saying that, like, that they were proud of me and that to keep it up. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
been really cool.
The disc golf community in the little time I've been in is very welcoming. And one of the things I like about the sport is it has a low barrier of entry. It's really easy to go out there and do. And it's still kind of early. So, you were talking about watching Simon videos, Kona videos. I know there's a lot of people out there that are watching powwow videos the same way, watching Northern Cree or some of these guys, and you can still go to a powwow and you can still meet these guys. And same thing with disc golf. You've probably now played with Kona after watching her videos and learned. So I think that's a really cool part of the sport. That we're not, we're not so far removed from the fans, and the community is really strong. So, first year on tour, you've already hit some major accomplishments. Where do what are your goals for the rest of the season and beyond?
Well, I'm really just trying to build just kind of like better and like more often, like more frequent content online, just because, I do have a unique perspective, and I want to make sure that the people that want to, see women, and especially women of color, and what they're doing in the sport, I would love to just, be part of that content on, Instagram, Facebook, and I also do a lot on Twitter. And so trying to make more YouTube videos, and especially all of that kind of stuff goes into, building my brand and trying to get my name out there so I can get more sponsors, because the payouts aren't how the pros make a living. It's everything
Yeah.
on behind the scenes that helps them, with their expenses of touring full time. So
Yeah.
I'm doing the best that I can so far, and my biggest sponsor is OTB Discs. They're one of
Yes.
like the biggest online retailers. So having people like having even just that kind of sponsor helps with my my hopes of getting more opportunities in the future.
Yeah. It's all about getting a disc sponsorship, like something like this.
Oh yeah. That's a nice one. When did those ones come out again? I forget when Brody got 1,000.
It was in the summer, I think. I was actually standing in line at Disney World when I ordered that one.
Yeah, we were actually in college at the same time. So
Okay.
he went to
Yeah.
University of Florida and I went to Georgia Tech. So
Yeah.
that was both the Southeast College region,
Okay.
and so I knew him back when we were little 20-year-olds.
Yeah. Another ultimate crossover. There's several now that of touring professionals that are making that crossover.
Mhm.
So cool. And you mentioned women and women of color, and I had a similar conversation with an actress lately about representation in media, and I think it's the same thing in sports. It helps when you see somebody like you in sports, and then you can blaze a trail. What has it meant for you to be a woman of color on tour this year, and how have fans reacted to that?
I think that again, that same line of just feeling super welcomed. Obviously, when you get onto the online community, people tend to be meaner, but all of my interactions in person have been super encouraging. I really do love when fans come up. And I've had, people message me on IG and say thank you for just being a voice out there. I do agree with that person you interviewed that visibility matters, and whenever I can have those one-on-one interactions with people and I can tell that I'm making a difference, it just helps me know that I'm like doing the right thing, because all I want is for people to have a positive some sort of positive outlet. And I think disc golf is a great opportunity for, physical activity and connecting uh, with a community. And so definitely love that when I'm out there. I do feel some pressure, because if I ever make a mistake or whatnot, that can get attached to just, bigger things than just me as an individual making a mistake. But I do feel honored and, humbled by the amount of weight that I feel like I'm carrying. And I only hope that I can just play this sport for however long, and when more more Native women, more any women of color start playing the sport, then I'm just like part of a bigger group. I don't want to be the only one forever. I want my what I do to actually grow the sport with people that look like me.
Right, right. And so let's talk about, you're now running for the PDGA board of directors. How do you see the PDGA accomplishing that and spreading the sport? It's exploding. We talked about that. There are hundreds of thousands of people picking up the sport, and it's really growing. How do we get this to people of color now?
I do think that the some of the initiatives that they laid out for their strategic plan are good ones. So we have any sort of youth initiative to me is really important. I've worked with youth like since I was in like my first year of college, and I've been coaching ultimate at the youth level. I've lived abroad coaching youth at the coaching youth in ultimate, and so uh, any sort of engagement in that respect. And a lot of this has to be at the local level. So I have had even native disc golfers reach out to me, like saying that they're running this and that event, and like if I can make it out there or if I can help out in any way. So if you've done that, and that in itself, has to happen at the local level, is super helpful. I think with PDGA specifically, any of their marketing strategies could be more geared towards you know people of color and Indigenous people, because when I even look at the logo, it's just like this silhouette of a dude that I'm assuming is a white dude throwing a disc at a basket. And so like
Yeah.
immediately just from there, you're like, that logo doesn't really speak to me. And so just even small things like that are like the first step. And then when you're breaking it down even more, like, what kind of toolkits or resources um, can the PDGA provide to the smaller local levels. We
Right.
do have a grant program through the PDGA that anyone can apply to. And so it's the Diversity and Outreach Grant Program. And so we've had at least 2 different applications um, with that hit a native population, one in Alaska and I think one in the Northeast somewhere. I can't remember.
That's
But
exciting.
I'm on the PDGA Diversity and Outreach Task Force. So we go through those grant applications, and we have I forget how much money total that we've been allowed to allocate this year to those grants,
That's great.
um,
Yeah.
grant applications. Yeah.
I talking to a friend up on Cherokee Reservation. They're putting in a course.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually that's one of them too. Yeah, so that would be 3 different native ones that have come up in our meetings. It's been super cool to see that. And honestly, I definitely think it's an untapped part of the PDGA membership. Like, there's so much room for that to grow, because if you think about how, even smaller courses could be about like 3
Right.
to 6 or 9 whole courses, there's plenty of real estate in terms of, any sort of reservation that's looking to grow, um, either they're, through the parks department or whatever like that. uh, that is definitely room for growth in
Yeah.
terms of getting more native disc golfers out there.
That'd be exciting to have more on the
Yeah,
reservations across the country. That'd be great.
yeah.
All right. So, and you mentioned some of the criticism online, and I was reading some of the comments on your interview with Terry Miller, the disc golf guy. Um, so how do you, give you a chance to answer that? Some of the things people are saying, that you're running for the board of directors, but yet you are, in their words, pushing a platform of an identity,
Hmm.
or a specific gender or race. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, how do you answer that, and kind of what's your stance on that?
I think I think it's super unfortunate because just because there's like certain words that are used, I think people get triggered by those words. And every person alive has identities and multiple different things that you associate with yourself. And so I think it was unfortunate that, that person really just hung on to that word that I used, which, because I said identities probably like twice.
Right.
Also mentioned that I was a woman of color like multiple times, but I mean, look down the ballot. I really was the only woman of color on the ballot. So it was just like kind of funny that, like, it's obvious, but I do have to make a point of it, because there's not enough of us in terms of, when we look at a ballot of 8 candidates and it's all older white men, and then there's one woman that's 30 years old running for the board, and everyone else is older than me, everyone else is white, and everyone else has been playing the sport for longer than me. But if you look through my professional experience and disc golf experience, it's very clear that I'm not just on there just to be that one diverse candidate. I'm on there because I am a qualified candidate and I bring diversity to the sport. And so um, I I think one of the harder things for me that I'm still learning is that I do have like a certain set of, you know, vernacular and words that I use when I'm thinking about like growing diversity and being more inclusive within different communities. But I do also have to learn how to talk to people that aren't using those words in like their day-to-day life. And um, when people get, triggered by me saying diversity, or triggered by me saying identity, this is my identity, like I have to learn to like step away from that and just talk in a different way, because I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to say something that makes someone feel offended. I'm trying to express myself and say, hey, this is why my voice matters. And so, um, if people are offended by me saying that, then I just need to, connect with them a different way. I do believe that, online forums, it's very low percentage chance that we're actually going to be able to communicate effectively and listen to each other's sides, and then come to some sort of consensus from there, because a lot of things these days are polarized. So even things that aren't political are political these days. And so it's being able to step away from that, and these kinds of things, where we're having this like one-on-one conversation, I think are super helpful to breaking those barriers of whether it's communication or just like not understanding. And so I would love to respond to those people, but it's in comment back and forth, it's just not going to work. So at some point I just have to ignore it and just hope that maybe one day we could connect in a better mode of communication.
Agree so much. That's so true. And things are polarized now, and some people, they're looking for those keywords to just set them off. But for me, I think it's super exciting to have new, fresh ideas with the PDGA. The sport is at such an important crossroads, and we've got so much money and eyes coming into the sport. Paul McBeth signing a $10 million deal, ESPN getting ready to put more tournaments on air. It's time for some fresh ideas. Obviously, the PDGA needs some fresh ideas. So exciting! That's exciting.
Yeah.
All right, so now I got to geek out and ask you some disc golf questions. All right, so you said you love putting, and putting's one of your strong suits. So what are you putting with right now?
So I putt with the Paige Pierce Fierce. And so for those of you that don't know, Paige Pierce is the best women. Awesome. Love it. She's the best player in the game in the FPO. And she's actually my OTB teammate. So we're teammates through OTB discs. And yeah, she's an amazing player. So when I originally was putting with Paul McBeth's Lunas, I switched to the Fierce because I was like, well, I want to rep Paige's discs. So I started putting with her discs.
That's awesome. Yeah, I actually have both in my bag. So I usually use the Fierce for approach shots and then putt with the Lunas. That's cool though.
Yeah.
And all right, so what are we driving with? And how far are you throwing? Are you up there with the Katrina? Are you one of the big throwers out there on tour?
I'm not up there yet, but I'm getting there because I parked a 400-foot hole. Granted, it was downhill, so it's probably playing closer to like 360 or 370, but I am getting more distance. And honestly, I'm not even worried about what my distance is right now, because I know it's gonna get at least 50 feet to 100 feet longer. The biggest distance throwers in the game for FPO can throw like around 500. But that's not like with control, that would be like if they're going for max distance. So like on the course, more likely you're going to see 400, 450 as being those distance throwers. And then for me, I'm closer to 350. So I'm trailing behind there. My control shots are going to be anywhere from 300 feet to 350 feet. And then if I'm really gunning it, then I just also have to accept that those throws would be more likely to go out of bounds, because I don't quite have the control yet to just be throwing it 400 feet whenever I want.
And so we talked about new people coming into the sport and hopefully people of color. So what would you give people out there watching? What's your advice for somebody just starting the sport? What's your best?
So the best advice I can give is that if you find out that you really love it, then have a friend to go with on the course with you, because unless if you're an introvert or whatever and you like your alone time and doing it that way, I did that a lot. So have a friend, and then just watch some videos, because that's really where I learned to love the game, is the big personalities in the sport. So like, you have the Brody Smith videos and
Mhm.
his disc, and Paige Pierce herself has videos that she
Right.
makes, and Simon Lizotte is my favorite like YouTube blogger
Yeah.
in the disc golf space, because he's just hilarious. And so if you really want to kind of understand like how the game works, the community works, watching those videos is super entertaining, and it kind of like inspired me to get out on the course. And starting with discs that you don't necessarily have to go out and buy, like I have a bajillion these days, but start out with 3 discs, start out with whatever putter starter kit you want. So there's plenty of kits through Innova, Discraft, Westside, all of them, they have their own starter kits. And they all have one putter, one mid-range, and one driver, and normally that's enough to get you through a whole round until you feel comfortable playing the sport even more. I've played in all across the country at this point. Now I'm starting in the Midwest, and then the tour goes kind of down the East Coast and finishes in Nashville. So I've played in California, Utah, Kansas, Phoenix, and so anywhere you go, you can find a disc golf course. A lot of the times, it depends on if how far you have to drive, but even just going out in the field and like kind of making up your own course works too.
Right. Right.
But that is that kind of like that accessibility to the sport. How can we make it more accessible to Native communities? So that in itself is an issue. So if you don't have a course around you, do not get discouraged by that. You can definitely just go out, find places where you can kind of just like go and make up something
Yeah.
while being safe, because disc golf discs can be kind of unpredictable, especially if you're new to the sport.
Right. Right. Yeah, I had a friend. He had some land next to his house, and he just put tape on trees, and his
Love that.
daughters would just go out. They just throw at trees. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love
Yep.
that.
Yep. All right. So I mentioned this before we started recording, but so the World Championships just happened, and if
Yes.
for those of you not in disc golf, go Google it and
Just
look up.
pause it right now and then
Look
go
up the shot.
watch.
All right, and so in some places are even calling this the most clutch sports moment of all time. So where were you when the shot from James Conrad happened?
Oh my gosh. I cannot handle like that moment in itself. Like I feel like I just lost myself. I was there. So already had watched an incredible finish in the women's side. Katrina Allen threw an even like longer shot. So
Right.
James's shot was right around 250. Katrina's shot to win was right around 350. And so this was like a few hours before. She threw this crazy shot, landed in the circle, and won that way. So I already thought that was the highlight of the day. So James was right in the middle of the grass fairway. He had a 250-foot shot. It had to be a righty backhand, and the line had to be perfect to go into the basket the way it did. I was right behind him. So there's the left side of the fairway and the right side of the fairway. And he was throwing this way. I was behind him on the left side. And it was this moment of silence when the disc was originally just like when he released the disc. It was a moment of silence. And it was like as it was going up in the air and people realized how good of a line he had hit, people started yelling things like, get in the basket, get in the basket. And then you just like feel your mouth dropping as you like think it's going to go in. And then it actually went in, and then just the crowd erupted, and there was like almost 1,500 people in this crowd. And so the crowd erupted, and I lost control of my body, and then all of us on the sidelines just started running onto the fairway right behind him. And so we're all running. And if you look at the clip, the one that has Anthony Barella right in it,
Right.
I was like not even like 10 feet behind him. So I'm like right in there. You see Garrett Girthy, that's like right where I was because I was walking with Jess Weiss at that point. And so yeah, it was like the most easiest thing for me to say is that it was like the best thing that I'll ever see in person, sports wise, maybe even just in general, but absolutely the most incredible sports moment in my life and in this century. Like
Yeah.
if even if you don't know about disc golf, it was the like thinking about like a grand slam or like a buzzer beater, like that doesn't even amount to what this kind of moment was, because those kinds of things happen season to season every year.
Right. Right.
This isn't going to happen again. Like this is
Yeah.
not going to happen again. So
And it was the last shot for the World Championships. Last
yeah,
hole, down by one. I mean, it's
yeah,
everything. Yeah.
it was everything that you could ever want in a sports moment. And then it forced the playoff. The fact that James won on hole 16 during the playoff, it was only one hole, so that would have been a 3-hole loop, 16, 17, 18. But the fact that he won on 16, the very first hole of the playoff, was actually super fitting because he got an ace on that hole during
Right.
the
Right.
tournament, and he had just dominated that hole the whole tournament. So super fitting that he won on that hole. But really, that shot was what even made them force them go to a playoff. So
Yeah.
if you have not seen it, please go watch it. It literally just, I don't know, if that moment in itself doesn't make like at least 5,000 more disc golfers start playing, like there's going to be so many more people playing the sport just because of this one moment. Like it's crazy to think about.
It is. It's so talked about. It's so. I was on the course the next day, and I'm 2 fairways are crossing, and the guys on another hole just stopped. Like, did you see it? And we all knew what we were talking about. It's like, yeah, we saw it. Yeah, it was really kind of
Yeah.
cool.
And you hear the pros like that weren't at the course, you hear them like being at their stories of like being in a restaurant and like scaring the whole restaurant because they're watching it live, and like
Yeah.
so many stories of people just, losing their minds over this one shot. And yeah, I went to the course and played a casual round the day after, and I tried to like copy the shot with my left hand forehand. I tried to do the same thing, and I was like, yeah, that was once in a lifetime for sure.
And you were talking about how Simon, you're watching Simon's videos, and so for me, when I was first getting into it, it was Simon, but it was Paul and Brody that I watched. So I'm cheering for Paul, and I'm like, oh my God, he's doing it. He's gonna make this comeback. And then you see that, and the first reaction is like, oh my God, Paul just probably lost. But then it's like, oh my God, this is the most incredible thing for disc golf ever. Yeah, you could not be happy for James. It was just
Yeah, and he's an incredible person in general.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was certainly rooting for Paul to get his sixth too. But after that, like you said, there's no one that can root for James.
Yeah. And I've heard Paul say he thinks it's better for the sport for James to have won. But all right, so next disc golf question: Macbeth or Climo? Who's the GOAT?
Woo, that's a hard one. So numbers wise, Ken has 12 world championships. Macbeth only has 5. And they're playing completely different disc golf games. And I've listened to Ken Climo's interview on the Running It with Nate Sexton podcast.
Yeah, I've heard that
really, one. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me not to root for Paul because he's still got so much life left in the game. I think, if you project it out, like Paul definitely, I think he overtakes Ken Climo's,
Right.
Like rise to fame because, he is in an era where, there is more room to make a name for yourself in disc golf.
Yeah.
And even for Paul Macbeth, it's gonna like exceed the disc golf community. Like he could make a name for himself just, in anyone's living room with how good he's playing disc golf. And he just won Des Moines Challenge after getting second at Worlds, and he has so many there's like a stat, I think, for the past 8 years, no matter what his Worlds finish was, he got first in the like the
I heard
tournament
that.
after.
Yeah.
Since like
That's crazy.
2013.
Yeah.
So the fact that he is still that hungry, like he has a lot of room for growth still.
It
And
would.
he's already the best, and he has all of these young guns that are coming for him, and he's gonna keep wanting to prove himself time and time again that, like, even with these young people in the game, I've still got it. So
Yeah. Klimo had Barry Schultz to compete with, but
yeah.
he didn't have Eagle and Calvin, and and it would be easy for Macbeth to take the 10 million in the McLaren and just coast. His passion and his drive is crazy to watch.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, it would have been so hard to bet for him to lose when you saw what he was doing since hole 12 of Worlds. It was birdie, 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 all the way up to 18. And so, like, when he goes, like, for those that don't know, like, there's this thing called McBeast mode. Like, when Paul Macbeth goes into McBeast mode, no one can beat him. And, like, except for the best shot in disc golf ever, like, he wasn't going to lose. So yeah, definitely love Ken Climo, especially after that interview. And I'm still learning, so much about the game and its history. But got to pick Paul on that one.
It's been crazy. Not to go too far into the World Championships, but I'd never watched live him turn on McBeast mode. And there was one hole where James laid up a putt, and then Paul stepped up, and it was only maybe 15 feet in front of James's shot and drilled it. I'm like, oh my gosh, he is on. This is going to be fun to watch.
I was watching it in person. It was insane.
Yeah, my 16-year-old daughter we were glued to the phone all day watching. She was following. She loves Paige, so she was really
that's awesome.
Paige. Yeah, so it was fun to see. All right, so Pierce or Cover?
Ooh, so do you mean Juliana Korver?
Yeah.
Okay.
Both 5 times.
Yeah, they are both 5 times, and they're both currently touring. I think Juliana Korver has had the more impressive season so far, having been someone that like essentially retired from the game.
Right.
And then decided to come back this season. And every tournament, she kept adding another tournament to her schedule until she was like, okay, I'm touring full time this season. So the fact that she is competing with the best and consistently getting top 10, top 5 is super impressive. Paige, she, some people said she had a slow start to her season, but I believe that she totally had it in her to win that world championship. It was just that, that pressure of Katrina's shot. And so for me, they both, like, they are really good competitors, and I am in awe. Like, I have not played with either of them yet on like a card during a tournament. I've played practice rounds with Juliana. Not Paige yet, but that's harder for me to choose. I think I'm going to pick Paige purely from knowing that, like, she is 100% all in. Who knows what Juliana is gonna keep doing after this season? Obviously, I would love to keep seeing her play, but there's no doubt that Paige has a career in this sport for like the next 10 years. I think time will tell, and time will pick Paige.
Awesome. Well, thank you for talking with us. Disc golf and everything else, and it's exciting to follow your career. I can't wait to see where you go from here. And for those that are watching, if this, hearing us talk about disc golf and get into it, if this hasn't encourage you to go out there and try it. Pick up a disc and go try it. I don't know what else. We'll just go watch Conrad throw that shot on
It's
18.
so fun. And
Yeah,
you get to go to beautiful places.
right. So that was my next question. It kind of wrap things up. So where can people find you here in the next couple of months? Where are you going to be? And are you going to be able to hit any powwows while you're out there traveling on tour?
I love that question because actually before I even knew this interview was going to happen, I follow Urban Native Era online, and so they created the official powwow tee for the year because um and so I was like looking at it, I was like, should I buy this shirt? I really want this shirt. Because I have not gone to a powwow since, I think the last event I went to before COVID, it wasn't even a powwow, it was the hoop dancing world's competition.
I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the last thing I had gone to, and so I definitely need to look at the schedule and would love to find a powwow along the way to go to. I'm going to be in the Midwest. And then, so I just got off the wait list today for the Discraft Great Lakes Open. That's in Milford, Michigan. And then Clearwater, Minnesota. And then I'll be at Peoria, Illinois. And then after Peoria, I go into Burlington, Kentucky, which is right close to Cincinnati. And then Stafford Open is in New Jersey, right next to Philly. And then I don't know if I'm on the Delaware disc golf one, but that one's in Newark. And then let's see, there's 3 more after that. MVP Open, it's at Maple Hill Disc Golf Course. I don't know what city that is. And Green Mountain Championship is in Jeffersonville. Cambridge, Vermont.
Right. Yeah.
And then Music City Open is the PDGA National Tour finale. That's in Nashville, Tennessee. And then so I'm signed up for a few other ones that aren't part of the official tour. So there's one in Myrtle Beach. I think there's one in Atlanta. We've one back home. I'm basically playing disc golf for the rest of the year. So if you look at my PDGA page and I'm on a city near you, you can definitely reach out to me on Instagram, and I'll look up stops along the way and see if there's anything that I can go to. Cause yeah, I need some powwow love in my life. Like seriously, badly.
And of course, since you're from the West Coast, I have to ask, have you been to Gathering? And if you have, when was the last time you went?
I have not.
No.
I almost went one year, but back when I was a professional ultimate frisbee player, that took up all my time. So like if you think about disc golf, that was my time with ultimate. So it left me very few free time to go to that.
Well, again, thanks so much for being here, and I appreciate your time tonight.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the great questions.
Thanks. Again, thank you, Leah, for being on the show and talking. And she was in the chat tonight, so continue posting your questions. We've had great conversations on YouTube and on Instagram and on Facebook. So thanks, everybody. And hey, go grab a disc. Go get out there. 90% of the courses for disc golf are free, so all you have to do is just go grab a disc and start playing. And download the UDisc app. It is a free app, and it will show you where courses are close to you. So I hope you'll get out there and give that a try. And good luck to Leah. I hope she makes it onto the PDGA board. It will be great to have some representation at the Professional Disc Golf Association level. Her Instagram, so people are asking, I put it in the Facebook chat, but her Instagram, I had it up just a second ago. Sorry, it is, give me a second. It is at Leah Tsinajinnie. So go check her out on Instagram. Give her a follow and support her on tour. I know she'd appreciate that. Yeah, she's still watching, so give her a shout out and let her know you're giving her some support while she's on tour. All right, I do want to say again, thank you for our sponsor tonight, Indigenous Cloud. Go check them out, and she just posted it in the Facebook, so there's a link to her Instagram. Indigenous Cloud, www.PowWows.com/Indigenous Cloud. They are working to build a streaming service for Indigenous music, so go check that out. They would love to have your support on their Kickstarter, and I appreciate them for sponsoring our show tonight. And don't forget our 25th anniversary Pendleton Blanket giveaway. And because I told you, you get a special code if you watched all the way to the end. Here it is. So if you go to www.powwows.com/25 and use the special code 7674, Instagram, that's 7674 at powwows.com. Put that in where it asks for a bonus code. You'll get extra entries, and that code is only available to those of us watching tonight on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So that's just between us. Don't share it with anybody. That's your way to get some special entries into the contest. So thank you all for that. I really appreciate it. And of course, always thank you to our patrons out there. We really appreciate your support. This is the Booster Club of PowWows.com, and they are helping us make some cool things happen. So thank them for that. And I'd love to have you join and help support PowWows.com over at www.powwownation.com. And those of you watching on Instagram tonight, we've never done this before. It was a new thing trying to stream on Instagram. And I know we're having to use the phone, so you didn't get to see some of the not as good quality and whatever. But I hope this worked, and if you like it, let me know, and we'll try to do it this way more often. Again, thank you for our guests. We've got some more guests coming up on the show in the coming weeks, but we are live here every Thursday night at 9 o'clock on YouTube, Facebook, and now Instagram. So thank you all. I'm Paul Gatter with PowWows.com, and I hope to see you all soon. Have a great weekend. And hey, if you're making it to a powwow, I really want to hear how powwows are going. I haven't made it to my first one yet since the pandemic, but I'd love to hear how it's going if you've been to one and what it was like. So, all right, everybody, have a good night and a good weekend. Stay safe out there. Good night, everybody. Have a good weekend.